The market on Outpost 9 was always loud, full of aliens trading food, tools, and stolen tech. But today, something was different. Sergeant Luke Harrow, a human soldier stationed at the edge of the zone, saw her, a small alien girl, standing near the gate, barefoot and shaking. Her skin was pale purple, her eyes bright silver. Too big for her small face, she wore an old brown cloak, torn and dirty. She looked no older than 7 human years. She didn't beg like others. She walked up to the security gate, looked through the bars, and whispered, "Just milk for my sister, please. I'll pay you back when I'm grown." Luke froze. She wasn't crying, wasn't shouting. Her voice was calm to calm. There was something about it that went straight into his chest. No one else heard her. The other guards ignored her, laughing and talking. But Luke stepped forward, pushed open the gate, and knelt down in front of her. "Where's your sister?" he asked, his voice low. The girl didn't answer. She just looked at him, her silver eyes shining. "I'll pay you back," she whispered again, "when I'm grown." Luke looked around. No one was paying attention. He reached into his small field bag, pulled out a sealed milk packet, standard ration issue. He handed it to her. She took it slowly, carefully, like it was made of gold. She didn't say thank you, just nodded once and walked away. Disappearing into the crowd, Luke blinked. Confused, it felt like a dream. That night, in his bunk, he opened his gear pouch to check his supplies. That's when he saw something glowing, sitting between his gloves and knife. It was a small, blue device, smooth like glass, with strange patterns running through it. He touched it, and it lit up. A 3D map floated above it, lines and lights, forming a shape he didn't recognize. It wasn't the outpost, it wasn't the city, it was something. Underground, the map shifted, zoomed in, showing a path through tunnels ending at a pulsing red dot. Luke's mouth went dry. He hadn't taken this. He would have remembered something like this. So where did it come from? The answer came fast. The girl. She must have put it there, but when? He hadn't seen her come close enough the next morning. Luke returned to the same spot near the gate. She wasn't there, not even a footprint. He asked around. Most traders didn't remember seeing a girl like that. One old alien with gray feathers just laughed. "You dream of the lost ones," he said in a low voice. "Children of the ancient starblood." Luke didn't laugh. The map was still in his pocket. Glowing softly over the next few nights, he studied the map in secret. It wasn't just a path that responded to touch, showing doors, keys, and strange warnings. There were symbols Luke didn't understand, but they made his skin crawl. One looked like a human skull, drawn by someone who had never seen a human before. Then the vision started. Each night when he closed his eyes, he saw the girl. She stood in a dark cave, holding the milk packet in one hand, her other hand pointing into blackness. He heard whispers, not in any known language, and in the background screams, distant and haunting. By the 5th night, he woke up, shaking, sweat dripping down his face. The map was glowing brighter now, like it was waiting for him. He knew one thing: he had to follow it. He didn't understand why, but something deep inside told him the girl had given him more than a map. She had given him a mission, and maybe, just maybe, the milk wasn't the real gift. Maybe he was. He checked his gear, packed extra water, and turned off his comms. If the military found out, they'd stop him, but he had already crossed a line. A starving alien girl had looked him in the eye and trusted him. Now she was gone, but the path was open, and the map in his pocket was alive, pulsing softly like a heartbeat, calling him deeper into the unknown. Asterisk, the tunnel beneath Outpost 9 was not on any official map. Luke followed the glowing guide from the alien device. Step by step, the further he walked, the colder the air became. The lights from the surface faded behind him, swallowed by rock and time. the passage wasn't natural. Smooth walls, strange symbols, and soft lights in the stone whispered of old. Hands that carved them, alien hands far older than any species recorded in the galactic database. Luke's boots echoed on the stone floor, the sound sharp and lonely. His flashlight flickered twice, then died. But the device in his pocket glowed brighter, like it knew he needed light. Suddenly, he heard something, a low hum. Like singing without words, he moved slowly toward the sound. Body tense, hand near his sidearm, around the next bend. The tunnel opened into a large chamber. There, standing at the center, was not the girl, but a giant. Armored figure, 7 feet tall, covered in dark silver plating, with long, sharp limbs. The alien turned slowly, its face hidden behind a carved helmet, and though it had no mouth, Luke heard it speak directly in his mind. "You have answered the call," the voice said, deep and ancient. "You gave the child milk, and now the bond begins." Luke raised his weapon. "Who are you?" "Where's the girl?" The figure didn't move, didn't flinch. "She is safe," it replied. "Your kindness has been seen. And your path chosen." Luke's voice was cold. "I didn't choose anything." He wanted to leave, but his legs stayed frozen. Something about the alien made the air too heavy to breathe. "The vow is older than your species." The voice echoed in his head. "When a protector shows mercy to the bloodline of Starblood, the bond is set." Starblood. Luke whispered. The alien raised a long finger and pointed to the device in Luke's hand. It floated upward on its own and shone a brighter light. A map appeared in the air, showing galaxies Luke had never seen. Then one word appeared in bold. Glowing script, Yorathan. The voice continued. That was the homeworld of the girl's kind. It was destroyed by those who feared their power. Luke stared at the map, and she's one of them, one of the last. The being said, "And she chose you?" Luke frowned. "Why me?" There was silence for a moment. Then the alien's voice softened. "Because you gave without expecting anything." That is the core of the vow. Luke didn't understand all of it, but something inside him whispered that this was real. The figure stepped aside, revealing a glowing gate behind it. "Go through, and you will see what must be seen." Luke hesitated, then stepped forward. The gate pulsed and pulled him in, like a river of light. He landed in another chamber, massive, round, full of floating crystals and glowing vines. The air smelled like stars and rain in the center. The little alien girl sat on a stone chair, drinking the last of the milk packet. She looked up and smiled. "You came." Luke knelt beside her, unsure what to say. She placed the empty milk pouch on the floor and touched his arm. Her fingers were cold, but her touch was warm. "Now you're part of my blood," she said simply. "You're my protector." Luke blinked. "Is that what this is about?" She nodded. "I needed someone. Before I started growing." He looked around. "Where are the others?" She looked down, quiet, gone. A sudden light burst from the floor, and Luke saw flashes, memories not his own. A world burning, tall cities made of crystal crashing down, children crying, voices screaming in the dark. Ships flying away, too. Few too late, then silence. And her, sitting alone, waiting. Luke gasped and stepped back. The girl looked into his eyes. "Do you still want to protect me?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached out and gently took her hand. "You never had to ask." He whispered. The crystals in the room began to glow softly, and behind them, the armored figure reappeared. Watching in silence, "The bond is sealed," it said. "Now begins the true test." Luke looked down at the girl. Her eyes no longer looked scared. They looked ancient-like. She remembered 1,000 lives before this one. She pointed to a deep tunnel that led even further below. "I'll need more than milk next time," she said with a soft smile. Luke nodded, and together, protector and child, they stepped into the dark. The tunnel grew tighter with each step. Luke had to crouch now, the ceiling brushing against his back. Behind him, the little alien girl moved silently, her silver eyes glowing in the dark. She wasn't afraid. That scared him more than anything. "Where are we going?" he asked, voice low. The girl placed a finger to her lips. "Don't speak too loud," she whispered. "They listen." Luke froze. "They." She didn't answer. Instead, she touched a wall and a soft blue light lit the stone. Ancient carvings appeared, giants with many eyes, wings of bone, teeth like swords. Below them, smaller figures bowed or burned. Luke felt cold. The carvings weren't art, they were history. "Who are they?" he asked. "They were protectors once," the girl said. "Then they turned into what?" She looked up, into creatures. Her voice cracked, but she kept walking. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber, so massive Luke couldn't see the ceiling. The floor was smooth black stone, with strange patterns glowing beneath it. In the center of the room were 7 sealed pods, each twice the size of a tank. They were shaped like eggs, covered in silver lines and golden cracks. Luke stepped closer to one, drawn by a strange hum. He reached out, then the girl grabbed his wrist. "Don't," she said sharply. "They're dreaming." "Dreaming?" he asked, confused. "They've been asleep for thousands of cycles," she explained, "if they wake up too soon." She didn't finish her sentence, but her eyes told the rest. Luke stepped back. "What are they?" She walked to one of the pods and placed her small hand on it. "Once they were guardians of the galaxy," she said, "made by my ancestors to protect life. And now?" Luke asked. She turned toward him. "They became hungry for control." Her hand glowed where it touched the pod. They wanted to rule instead of serve. Luke looked around. "Why are they still alive?" "We didn't destroy them," she said quietly. "We sealed them down here. It took everything. My kind gave their lives to trap them." She sat down, looking tired. "And now I'm the last." Luke sat beside her. His chest ached, hearing that. A child carrying the memory of a fallen race. She looked at him, but the seal is breaking. Their minds are waking, calling to others. Soon, someone will try to let them out. Luke clenched his jaw. "Then we stop them." She smiled softly. "You sound like the first protectors." Suddenly, the air changed. The room grew colder, like something ancient had noticed them. One of the pods made a cracking sound. Thin golden light leaked from the top, pulsing like a heartbeat. Luke stood, weapon ready. The girl stepped back, her hands raised, fingers glowing faintly. "They know we're here," she said. "They remember me." The pod made another sound, a deep, low growl. Then a voice filled the room, ancient and broken, like stone grinding against metal. "Star blood. Alive." Luke's blood ran cold. The voice wasn't relit, was in his head. The girl fell to her knees, holding her ears. "They're pushing into my mind," she cried. "They want to feed again." Luke ran to her side, shielding her. "Shut it down," he shouted. "Put it back to sleep." She shook her head, tears falling. "I don't have the power anymore." The pod cracked more, a thin claw pushing through the shell. Luke raised his weapon, but what could a gun do against something like that? Then the girl looked up. "There's another way." "What way?" She grabbed his hand, pressed it to her chest. "Our bond did lets me borrow your strength." Luke didn't understand, but he nodded. "Do it." A light burst from her skin into his. Luke gasped. He felt heat, memory, power. For a moment, he wasn't just human. He was something more. The girl stood, eyes glowing like stars, and raised both hands. She spoke a word Luke couldn't understand, but the pod responded. The claw stopped moving. The light dimmed, and slowly, the cracks healed. The pod went silent. The room felt empty again. Luke dropped to his knees, breathing hard. "What Was that? The girl turned to him, her face pale. That was one of the weakest, she said, if they all wake up. Luke stood, gripping her shoulder. Then we make sure they don't, behind them. Another tunnel opened, one that wasn't there before. It pulsed with red light. The girl looked at it, then back at Luke. They're not alone down here. She whispered, others have already come. Luke nodded, heart pounding. Then let's go meet them. Together, they stepped into the red-lit tunnel. Not knowing what waited next, only that they had to stop it. Asterisk, the red-lit tunnel was different. From the others, its walls were rough, burned black, like something alive had crawled through and melted the stone. The air was hot, smoky, hard to breathe. Luke walked ahead with his weapon ready. Behind him, the alien girl followed quietly. But now, she didn't look like a child anymore. Her back was straighter, her glow stronger. Since the seal encounter, something had changed inside her. Something. Older had awakened. They moved through the tunnel for minutes. Maybe hours. There was no time here, only heat and silence. Then, they heard it, voices, not alien voices, human ones. Luke raised a hand to stop her. Then crouched behind a broken stone pillar, ahead. He saw lights, flashlights, and military gear. Soldiers, human soldiers, 5 of them in full black armor.
Ow.
Surrounding a glowing console, the console was built into the wall, made from the same alien tech as the pods. One soldier tapped a screen. This panel's active. Another said, it's reading as locked, but we have clearance. Luke's eyes widened. Clearance? From who? He leaned closer and whispered to the girl. They're trying to open it. She shook her head. They don't know what they're touching. Then one soldier pulled out a long device, like a fusion torch. Stand back, he said. Command wants inside this door. Luke couldn't wait. He stepped out of the shadows and raised his weapon. Put that down, he shouted. Back away from the door. The soldiers turned, weapons raised in an instant. Sergeant Harrow. One said, surprised, what the hell are you doing here? I should ask you the same. Luke replied, eyes scanning their faces. He recognized none of them. Their armor had no name tags, no unit patches, just a red mark on the chest, like a claw. This is a sealed area, the lead soldier said, stepping forward. You're interfering with an active operation. Luke didn't lower his gun. You're about to wake up something that should never be touched. Behind him, the alien girl stepped forward, her silver eyes glowing. The soldiers stared, confused. One of them whispered, is that a child? She's not your concern, Luke said. Leave now. The lead soldier smirked. Sorry, Sergeant. We answered to higher orders. Then he nodded, and 2 of the soldiers raised a weapon Luke had never seen before. A flash of blue light shot out. Luke rolled, firing back. The fight was quick, but brutal. Luke was trained, but they had strange weapons. One hit the wall and melted part of it. Another shot narrowly missed the girl, sending her flying into the stones. Luke shouted her name, firing wildly. Then the console behind them exploded. Heat and light filled the room. The door opened, half broken, and something moved behind it. A massive claw, black and steaming, slid out from the smoke. The soldiers froze. Too late. A second claw followed, grabbing one of them by the chest and pulling him through the door like paper. Screams echoed through the tunnel. The creature stepped forward, 8 feet tall, all muscle and bone, with glowing red eyes and smoke pouring from its mouth. The girl stood again, weak but focused. She raised both hands and shouted in a language Luke didn't know. The monster paused its head, turning slowly toward her. You, it growled. Starblood. Luke rushed to her side. We can't fight that. He said, we run. No, she whispered. I made a promise. Luke blinked. What promise? She stared at the creature, her voice trembling but strong. My people swore we'd never let them walk free again. My blood carries that vow." The creature stepped forward again, snarling. Its skin steamed as it got closer, until the girl stepped in front of it. She glowed brighter, her body humming with light. The creature screamed, as if burned. It stumbled back, shielding its face. "She's hurting it," Luke said, shocked, but the glow was burning her to her skin. Began to crack. Her knees shook. Luke caught her before she collapsed. "You can't hold it," he said. "You're going to die." Tears fell from her glowing eyes. "I don't want to die," she whispered, "but I promised." Luke looked at the creature. Was injured, but recovering. The soldiers had fled, leaving behind their gear. Luke took a breath and pulled the strange alien device from his pocket. "Can I use this?" he asked her. She nodded slowly. "Only if you mean it." "Mean what?" "That you'll take the vow." Luke stared at the glowing device in his hand, then at the girl in his arms, then at the rising monster. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I promise." The device lit up like a star. Power surged through him. He felt her energy join his. Mixed with his human spirit, the monster roared and charged. Luke stood tall, his hands glowing with ancient power. He didn't know what he was doing, but he wasn't alone. The girl placed her hand on his back. "Together," she said. The light exploded outward, and the creature screamed one last time. Before vanishing in a wave of burning energy, smoke cleared. Silence returned. The girl collapsed beside him, breathing shallow. Luke held her close. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "And I'll keep it," he said, "until the last. One's gone." 3 days had passed. 3 long, silent days since the battle beneath Outpost 9. Luke hadn't seen the alien girl since. He searched every corner of the tunnels, waited near the sealed pods. Even called out her name. No answer, no whisper, no trace. The ancient device she gave him had turned cold and dark. No glow, no signal, like it had shut down with her. He sat alone in a dusty chamber deep underground, staring at the stone walls, thinking, regretting. "She burned too bright," he whispered. "She saved us and paid the price." But then the 4th morning he heard a sound, a faint humming echoing through the rocks. The device in his hand pulsed once, faint but alive. Luke jumped to his feet, eyes wide. He ran toward the sound, following it through broken tunnels and scorched paths. There, in the middle of the same chamber where they had fought the monster, stood a girl, but she wasn't the same. She was taller now, her cloak replaced with living threads of silver light. Her silver eyes now blazed with gold fire. Her voice was still. Hers but deeper, more steady. "You came back," Luke said, breathless. She nodded slowly. "I had to." Luke stepped closer, confused. "You look older." "I am," she said. "My bloodline awakens when the vow is kept. When protectors truly accept the bond, I grow." He stared at her. "So you're not a child anymore." She smiled gently. "Not to your eyes, but inside, I still remember the milk." Luke almost laughed. Almost. But he couldn't, not with the weight in the air. Not with the feeling that something was still wrong. "What now?" he asked. Her smile faded. "There's another," she whispered. "A second creature broke its seal last night." Luke's body tensed. "Where?" She pointed up. "Not below," she said. "Above." Luke's heart dropped. "You mean?" "On the surface." She nodded. "And it's not hiding. Up above, Outpost 9 was burning. The night sky was dark red, smoke rising from the outer walls. One of the hangars had exploded and panicked civilians were being evacuated. The command center had no answers, no warning, no plan. A tall figure moved through the chaos. The creature was not like the first. This one was faster, more intelligent. It wore broken armor from an old war, mixed with sharp living metal that repaired itself. Its eyes were black holes, pulling light into them. And at its side walked two humans. They wore dark uniforms marked with the same red claw symbol Luke saw before. Their minds were not their own. Their eyes blank and lifeless. The creature raised a claw and pointed toward the center of the base. "Find the Starblood," it hissed. "She has returned, Luke." And the girl reached the surface just before dawn. The sky above was turning gold, but smoke hid most of it. The base was unrecognizable. Destroyed walls, damaged ships. Screams echoing across the broken metal floors. The girl stood calmly, her glowing eyes scanning the area. "They've been watching," she said. "Even while sleeping," Luke raised his weapon. "Then let's wake them up properly." She smiled faintly, but there was pain behind it. "I can't fight this one like before," she said. "He was one of us once." Luke frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at him. "He was a protector, like you. He broke the vow. He burned it." Luke's stomach turned. "So he knows how we think." She nodded. "And he wants to kill you first." The creature arrived just as the sun rose. It walked through fire like it was water. Its metal armor pulsed with energy, and its voice echoed through the air like thunder. "Starblood," it growled. "You should have stayed forgotten." The girl stepped forward. Calm but firm. "You forgot who we are," she said. "But I didn't." The creature sneered. "You're weak. You gave power to a human." Luke stepped beside her, gun raised. "And that's your mistake," he said. "You think we're separate?" The creature roared and leaped forward. Luke fired 3 shots. 1 hit, 2 missed. The hit did nothing. The armor healed instantly. The girl raised her hand, sending out a pulse of light that slowed the creature mid-air, but only for seconds. It slammed into the ground. Cracking stone and steel, Luke rolled out of the way and grabbed a broken metal pipe. He stabbed it into the creature's leg. It screamed. Not in pain, but in memory. The girl placed both hands on the ground. The earth beneath the creature glowed and cracked. Roots of light wrapped around its body, holding it still now. She shouted, "Use the mark I gave you." Luke pulled the glowing device from his belt. It lit up with fire and symbols. He pressed it against the creature's chest. The creature's body shook. Black smoke poured from its armor. It screamed not from pain, but from being broken. Then, silence. The creature turned to ash, blown away by the morning wind. Luke dropped to his knees, exhausted. The girl helped him stand. "It's not over," she said. "I figured," Luke said, breathing hard. "But next time, we hit first." She nodded. A new glow began to rise from her chest, soft and bright. "I think I'm ready," she said, "to find my sister." Luke looked at her. "You have a sister." She smiled. "She's still asleep." The next night. Luke sat beside a quiet river near the ruined edge of Outpost 9. The fires had died down. The people had been moved. But the questions stayed. Across from him sat the alien girl, legs crossed, her silver and gold eyes watching the stars. Her new cloak shimmered like glass in moonlight. She looked peaceful, but Luke knew better. Something was coming again. He could feel it in the air. The calm before another storm. "I keep thinking about that day," he said, "when I gave you that milk." She turned toward him. "You still don't know what it was, do you?" Luke frowned. "It was just a ration pack, standard issue, half warm, barely real." She smiled softly. "To you, yes, but to me, it was something else." Luke leaned forward. "Then, tell me." She dipped her fingers into the river. And as she moved them, light followed her touch. The water began to glow, gently swirling with energy. "Milk is more than food to my people," she said slowly. "It's the first link. The first offering from life to life." Luke stayed silent, listening. She continued. "On my homeworld, when a protector gave milk to a child of Starblood, it was more than kindness. It was a vow." Luke's eyes widened. "So when I gave it to you?" You fed more than my body, she said. You fed the part of me that was waiting. Waiting for what? For permission to live again, she whispered. For the bloodline to wake. She lifted her hand and pressed her palm against her chest. A soft white light pulsed beneath her skin. My people's strength was never just in power. It was in connection. Luke felt a chill run down his spine. The bond, he said slowly. It's not just emotional. She nodded. It's ancient. Woven into the stars, built from giving, not taking, suddenly. The device on Luke's belt blinked twice. He grabbed it, showed a new location. Deep forest, west of the outpost ruins. Another creature. He asked, standing up. The girl stood too, face serious. No, she said. Something else. It's her. Luke's eyes narrowed. Your sister. She nodded once. She's still in stasis, sealed like the others. Luke checked his gear, eyes scanning the dark horizon. Why now? Because the bond is strong enough, she said. Because the milk you gave me was pure. The forest was old real trees, not colony grown, twisted roots, glowing fungi. And the sound of distant animals filled the night. They reached a wide clearing, untouched by machines. In the center stood a stone altar surrounded by crystal trees. Hey, and on the altar, a second girl. She was smaller, wrapped in strands of silver webbing that glowed faintly. She didn't move, didn't breathe, but her chest gave off a soft hum. Steady and alive, the alien girl stepped forward slowly, eyes full of wonder. I remember her laughter. She whispered, "She was always stronger than me." Luke stood beside her. "Then let's wake her." The girl placed both hands on the altar, and her body began to glow. Luke felt energy flow between them, pulling from the bond they shared, but then something cracked. A loud shattering sound echoed through the forest. The trees trembled, and the light dimmed. Luke turned fast. Weapon up, shadows moved in the tree line. Large and fast, creatures not the sealed ones, but hunters, long arms, spiked legs. And burning red eyes, they moved like ghosts, silent but deadly. They found us, the girl said. They smell the awakening. Luke aimed and fired 3 shots, 1 hit. The creature screeched but kept coming. The girl didn't move from the altar. If I stop now, she dies, she said. You must hold them back. Luke gritted his teeth. I got you, he said. Do what you have to. He stepped between her and the oncoming swarm, firing shot after shot. His sidearm overheated, so he pulled a blade. Slashing and dodging, he was hit once, twice, but didn't fall. The hunters snarled. But they were afraid of something. Luke didn't realize it until one stopped and looked past him. The altar was glowing brighter than the moon. The alien girl's body floated an inch off the ground, and the second girl, her sister, was opening. Her eyes, golden fire spilled from her mouth as she gasped. Then she screamed not in fear, but in rage. The energy burst outward, knocking the hunters back into the forest. Silence returned. Luke dropped to his knees. Breathing hard, the first girl walked to her sister, who was now standing on shaky legs. They held hands, 2 glowing figures. Bound by ancient blood, Luke looked at them both. She's like you, he said. The first girl smiled. She is me. She's the other half I was missing. Then the younger one turned to Luke. Her eyes were gold like fire and full of curiosity. You gave her milk, she asked softly. Luke chuckled, wiping blood from his cheek. Yeah, he said. I did. She stepped forward and gently touched his chest. Then you're ours now, she said. All of you. And behind them, in the forest, the sealed ground began to crack, not from a monster, but from something trying to rise and help. The ground trembled beneath Luke's feet. The forest shook as if something ancient was waking up from deep below. The 2 alien sisters stood side by side, glowing with the same golden light. The younger one, freshly awakened, was still weak. The older one, his bonded starblood, stood tall. Her eyes locked on the earth as it cracked. Luke held his weapon tightly, but he already knew. No gun would help now. "What is it?" he asked, his voice low. The elder sister spoke without looking at him. "It's not a creature this time," she said. "It's a choice." Before Luke could ask what she meant, the ground split open in a perfect circle from the crack rose. A large stone platform, round, smooth, glowing with soft white light. Symbols danced along its edge in ancient script. Floating above it was a sphere of light, swirling like a small sun, and within it shapes. Shadows, memories. Luke stepped closer and realized he was seeing moments from the past. The first sister drinking the milk, her sleeping in the stasis chamber, him kneeling beside her the first time they met. "What is this?" he asked quietly. The younger sister finally spoke. "This is the Heartstone," she said. "It is where our bond becomes forever." Luke turned to them both, confused. "I thought we already had a bond." The elder sister nodded. "We do. But it's still incomplete." Then she stepped forward. Standing on the edge of the platform, "When you gave me milk, you gave me life. When you stood by me, you gave me strength. But now, I must give something back." Luke didn't like the tone in her voice. "What do you mean?" She turned and smiled softly. "I was never supposed to survive this long alone," she said. "My kind, our power burns without balance." Luke took a step forward. No, we'll find another way." But the younger sister raised a hand to stop him. "She's not dying," she said. "She's becoming." The light from the Heartstone pulsed faster, brighter. The elder sister stepped into it, her body starting to break into strands of golden energy. Luke shouted, "Wait." She turned to him one last time. "I told you I'd pay you back," she whispered, "and now I can." The light surrounded her, lifting her high into the air. Her body dissolved into pure energy, then merged with the Heartstone. The sphere burst outward with a wave of warmth, pushing back the clouds. The sky turned clear, blue, alive again. All around the forest, dead plants bloomed, broken trees healed. The air felt fresh for the first time in 1,000 years. Luke dropped to his knees, stunned. The younger sister walked to him, her hand glowing gently. She gave everything. She said softly, "So I could live." Luke looked at her, heart heavy but proud. "She saved the whole planet." "No," the younger sister corrected. "She saved you, back at the outpost ruins." The soldiers were returning. The Red Claw units had vanished with their masters. The last corrupted creature had turned to dust before the Heartstone's wave reached it. The military command had no explanation. They found strange trees growing from cracked concrete and lights that hummed when people walked by. They called it a phenomenon, but Luke knew better. He sat at the edge of the newly formed garden where the Heartstone now floated peacefully. The younger sister sat beside him, slowly learning human words. She asked him questions every day about Earth, about laughter, about why humans cried when they were happy. He answered all of them, patiently. One morning, she brought him a small metal box. Inside was a sealed milk packet, the same kind he had given her sister long ago. Luke smiled, confused. "Where did you find this?" She shrugged. "It was waiting near the altar. Maybe it was left for you." He looked at the packet, then at the Heartstone. Its light pulsed once, like a slow heartbeat. Luke nodded. "Yeah," he said. "Maybe it was." Weeks passed. The forest grew stronger. The Heartstone became a source of life and peace, protected by both humans and aliens alike. Some tried to study it, but nothing could touch it, not even scanners. It refused to be owned. It simply existed, and those who approached it with kindness always walked away changed. Luke never left. He became its silent guardian, the last human to be chosen by a starblood. Some called him a myth, others just called him protector. The younger sister, who now looked like a young adult of him, sat with him under the stars. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they just watched the night together. One evening, she looked up and said, "Do you think she still sees us?" Luke didn't answer right away. Then he opened the old milk packet and took a sip. It was warm, sweet, comforting. He looked at the glowing heartstone. A soft pulse of light blinked back. "Yeah," he whispered. "She sees everything." And, for the first time in a long time, he wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. Because the debt was paid, and love given free, Lead had changed the stars forever.